They said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here. I saw the light flicking in the tunnel, now it's clear. Whoever said God couldn't take me to the top, now I'm pressing on full speed, non-stop.
I'd like to welcome y'all to Royal Kennels. My name is Brian. I had a request to do a video on how I feed my American Bullies. Feeding my American Bullies was one of the most struggles that I've had since I've been dealing with the dogs. When I first got into the dogs, I knew absolutely nothing about the American Bully. When I first seen the dogs, the first question that came to my mind was, what in the world are they feeding this dog? I knew nothing about genetics of the dog. I knew nothing about anything of the dogs. So as I talked to the breeders, different breeders, this and that, and what they were feeding the dogs, everybody pretty much said the same thing. They were either feeding raw food or they were feeding kibble. And I was like, man, nothing else. I learned about a few other things like dine, the milk replacements, satin balls. I've learned so much about so many different things. And I have actually tried everything that I heard. And me personally, I've had a little bit luck with them, but in my end result, all it actually did was took away from my pockets a little more than regular, and I didn't see the major difference in the dog that I thought I was going to see. So it was more like not a waste of time, but because I learned from it, but it was more like I don't know, more like a pocket stealer than anything. So it brought me to try new and different things. When I first got into them, all I fed was Victor. Victor is a 30% protein, 20% fat dog food. A very great dog food. It's no grain, all stage of life dog food. And at the time, I had 2 dogs. I'm feeding Victor. It's going all right. It's not really hitting me too hard. I'm going through a bag about every month or 3 weeks, feeding 2 dogs. Well, as Royal Kennels began to expand, I got another dog from a total different breeder. And the first thing I asked him whenever I purchased the dog, I said, man, and this guy was Henry Jolly, the CEO of Bull Blood, when I had got Diesel from him. I said, man, what do you feed your dogs? And he told me Taste of the Wild. Now, I tried Taste of the Wild, and I know Taste of the Wild was a very good and expensive dog food. And the guy, he said, look, but I'm going to be honest. He said, you can actually feed the dogs dog chow, and they're gonna turn out to be what you're looking for because of the genetics. I didn't know much about genetics. I knew I was investing a little money at this time, so I knew I had to trust my investment. And that's something that he always said. He said, man, trust the blood. Just trust the blood. It's gonna pop. So getting into it, I mean, I knew a little bit of what he was saying, but I couldn't really trust in too much because of what I'm seeing. So what I did, I went and got Taste of the Wild. I tried Taste of the Wild. My other dogs, they didn't want to eat Taste of the Wild because they barely was eating Victor. So I was like, man, what do I do? So I tried mixing with raw. They would eat it for a little while, then they would stop. They would pick this. I had certain dogs picking certain foods out of the bowl, and it was just a major struggle. But Diesel, who I got from him, he would lick the bowl dry every time. No matter what I put in his bowl, he would lick it. So I was like, wow, what is the difference? So it was the different genetics of the different dogs. Not saying which one is better or anything like that, but it was just the difference of the 2 dogs. So then I began educating myself on the difference of the breed. So I stuck with Victor because Victor was my foundation food. Diesel ate it. The other dogs that I had at the time, they ate it. So I'm going with Victor. Well, I decided to add another dog to my program as a puppy. Got her, put her on Victor, seeing great results. Well, I had one female, my first breeding with Royal Kennels, I had her become pregnant. Well, now I find out that Victor doesn't produce milk. So now I have to find the dog food that produces milk. So I was told Diamond Puppy produces the best milk. Just what I was told. So I incorporated Diamond Puppy into my feeding program. Gave the female Diamond Puppy. She ate it, produced an overload of milk. I mean, she had major milk. So Diamond Puppy worked great. So now I'm feeding the puppies off of the litter and the mom, Diamond Puppy, older dogs, Victor. So Victor became a little bit expensive for me. And it was leaving my certain dogs in the yard with a wet stool. It was very, very, very wet. So I was like, man, what can I do? So the first thing that I do, that most people do, contact the breeders that you deal with. I know a lot of people contact the breeder before they contact the vet. I'm not saying that's not saying that that's the wrong thing to do. It's just the way it happens. It's not the best and it's not the wrong. It's just the way that it happens. The breeder is the first person that comes to mind before you have to spend that money. So I contact the breeder. The breeder pretty much can only tell me what they've experienced. So it was like, maybe, the dog food has a little too much protein in it. Or, did you switch the food? What did you do? Go back to follow the pattern. Look at what you had before. They can only give you what they experienced. So what I did, I went to PetSmart, bought a medicine for a wet stool, gave it to him. It worked for a little while. But after so long, I knew I had to change my diet. I talked to a vet. Vet told me that maybe the Victor had a little too much protein for my dogs. So what I did, I went to the feed store. I found another brand of Victor with a lower protein content. I mixed the two together and I seen a drastic change. I mean, within a week or two, I seen a change in the dog's stool. So I knew I was somewhat getting on the right track. Well, the only thing is, the dogs were picking certain foods, like they were picking the Victor that they were used to out of the bowl and eating it. So I knew it was a struggle again. So I went and bought a milk replacement, like milk to make it flavor. Put it in the dog bowl, they eat it, now back to square one, with the milk. So I was just trying, researching. YouTube and Google has become my best friend dealing with the American Bullies. So the puppies are eating Diamond, everything is good. I got two different protein contents of Victor, but it's still hurting my pockets. I'm spending like $350 a month on dog food alone, not considering my vet bills. I'm building a program. I mean, so it became so much money. And then I figured out after my first litter that the dog game is not this quick hustle that most people are envisioning in their mind. That the passion for your dogs have to outweigh the want for it to be a hustle. If you're not passionate about your dogs and you don't have love for your program, you kind of spinning your wheels. You're gonna have to spend a lot of money, and it's gonna take years and years and years of investing. It's gonna take trial and error. It's gonna take a lot to build a program, and even to build your vision. Because if you don't have a vision, you have absolutely nothing, which is a whole nother topic. So we'll get back onto the dog food. So what I decided to do, I said, you know what? I heard so much horrible things about these two dog foods, in the bully game. But I thought to myself, like, these dog foods have been around for so many years. They can't be that horrible. Now, I wouldn't feed them straight because it's just, I probably wouldn't fit well with myself, even though they might even work. It might even be good. I mean, I don't know, and I'm not going to try it. But I took my favorite dog food, Victor, and I went got the 50-pound bag of dog chow from Walmart for 22 bucks, and I mixed 3/4 of the Victor in a bowl and 1/4 of the dog chow in a bowl. And the dogs licked the bowl dry. So I was like, wow, you know, maybe they like this taste. So my first mental instinct was to be like, man, I know it's gonna mess their stomach up. But I only put a little bit to mix in. I seen absolutely no change in the stool. I did it like that for 2 weeks. Still didn't see a difference. So what I did, and what I do today, is I take 1 cup of the dog chow and I mix it with 1 cup of Victor. In the bowl, they lick the bowl dry. When they put their face in the bowl, they eat all of their dog food. It doesn't really affect their stool any. I haven't noticed anything different with their coats, and they are, to me, just as healthy as when I was feeding them straight Victor, you know. And I'm not saying that this is the best mix for the world, but this was the best mix for Royal Kennels adult dog food that is inexpensive. They eat it as soon as I put it in the bowl, and they are still very healthy. And I have videos and pictures to prove how healthy they are. So for the puppies, what I do from the time I put the dog into a kennel until they are around 8-9 months, I feed them twice a day. Diamond was getting expensive for the smaller dogs along with the bigger mix. So what I did, I went got the Purina puppy chow, 1/4 of the bowl of Purina puppy chow, 3/4 of the bowl of Diamond. They eat it, no difference. After 2 weeks, I added another 1/4, which was half of the bowl of puppy chow, half of the bowl of Diamond. Since I've changed to both of the mix that I've described to you, I've had absolutely no problems with the stool. The coats on the dogs are just the same as whenever I was feeding them regular. They're just as active. I have less of a mess with dog food being left over, being spilt in the kennel. They eat it. They basically lick their bowls dry. I give it to the younger puppies after they turn 6 weeks. I do the same for the baby puppies as for the puppies once they move to the kennels, and I've had absolutely no problem with them. This video was a request by a friend, and I'm gonna send you a shout out, man. My boy with Florida Heat Bullies. Thank you so much, man, for asking to see this video. It's a video that I should have made a long time. I hope it helped those of you who are struggling with the food issue. And I'm not saying that it's the best mix, but I am saying it's worth a try, and you may like it. It may help your pockets a little bit. And for my dogs, it haven't made a major difference from whenever I was feeding them with the straight Victor. So I really like the mix, and I'm gonna continue to use it. Any further questions with it, man, feel free to leave comments or ask. I mean, it's all good. I thank y'all so much for viewing, and y'all have a wonderful day, man. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and God bless y'all.